If you've ever said the words, "We'll go to Disney World someday," this episode is for you, because that someday sneaks up on you fast. Suddenly your kids aren't babies anymore. Everyone's talking about Disney World like it's just a normal thing to do. And you realize you have no idea where to even start. Now that I've done this more times than I can count, and that's planning for a real family trip to Disney World, I want to walk you through exactly what I wish I'd known the first time around: the timing, the age factor of your kids, the common mistakes I see over and over, and the things that make sense when you're just starting out. Hello, and welcome to the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. I'm your host, Dana Stanley, creator of Laid Back Magic. As a mom of 3, I know how tough it can be to find time to plan a Disney World trip that doesn't leave you feeling stressed or overwhelmed. That's why I'm here, to help moms like you create Disney vacations that feel even better than they look on paper. Here, we're not chasing perfection, but creating our next favorite memories. So whether you're brand new to Disney or looking to go deeper into the details, this podcast is your go-to for simple tips, mindset shifts, real-life trip recaps, and expert insights to make your trip magical and manageable. New episodes drop every Monday, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment. Okay, let's dive in. Today, we're breaking down Disney World planning for absolute beginners. Whether your trip is a once-in-a-lifetime thing or the start of a new family tradition, maybe you went as a kid, but you've never been as an adult, let alone with your kids. I'm going to tell you when to go, how long to stay, and the biggest planning myths that can throw first-timers off. Starting with, when's the best time to start planning for Disney World? As in, how soon is too soon? And if you're listening to this and you have done nothing, I feel like that is the best place to start researching planning for Disney World. So you're already ahead of the curve, just thinking about these things before you just randomly pick a resort and pick a day and get your credit card out. So if you're going back and forth on when to actually start planning, if you can, you should start as soon as possible. Last minute trips are definitely doable. We actually plan our trips last minute. And I will tell you, I have not had first pick or first dibs on the room and the resort that I actually really want to stay in probably the past 4 or 5 trips, because we wait to the last minute and the rooms are gone. So that is the biggest thing, is that you'll have first dibs on where you want to stay. Once you find the perfect resort for your family and you want to stay there, the worst thing is there being no availability, and then you have to pick something else to make the dates work. And for me, this is the most important, is where we're staying. Ironically, classic, like do as I say, not as I do. What I always do and recommend my members do is look into renting DVC points first to save money. If you're planning on staying at one of the more high-end, expensive resorts, and these are the resorts in Disney World that are going to be closest to the parks. So if you can imagine kind of like a radius, the closer circles that are close to all 4 theme parks are going to be more expensive than the second tier, which is moderate resorts. And they're going to be more expensive than the third tier, which are value resorts. And the problem that I see a lot of first-timers make is they come up with a certain budget and they just start automatically looking at the resorts that have rates that they think are within their budget, not knowing that you can save a ton of money and probably spend just as much by renting DVC points at the nicer, closer resorts. You can think of the resort rooms in Disney World as kind of 2 buckets. You have the Disney Vacation Club rooms, and then you have the regular resort rooms that are booked through Disney. And the thing with both of them is once they're gone, they're gone. So the best chance you have of getting the best price for either is to book as soon as you can. And something to keep in mind that I've been thinking about specifically for 2026 is I think some, not a lot, but I do think some people have been putting off their 2025 trips until 2026. There have been rides that have been closed this year, lots of renovations. Some resorts have been under refurbishments. I think there's just going to be a surge of people next year in 2026. And more people equals less rooms and less availability. Now, if you want the flexibility of canceling your room and having a lower cost upfront, you'll want to skip renting DVC points and book through Disney directly. And that's all the way out until October 31st, 2026. When I'm recording this, that's like a little over a year out. The good thing about booking a package early is you're going to have an easier time getting the room you want and the room type that you want at the resort you want. But also, and this is a big one, you don't have to wait for a promotion to apply it to your reservation. So you may be waiting to book because you think that there will be a discount or a deal coming, but it's actually really easy to apply a promotion if you're eligible for those dates after the fact by just modifying your reservation under your account. So if you're booking through Disney and you're not renting DVC points, there's really no downside to booking as soon as possible. And that brings me to the next thing that can have people waiting to pull the trigger on a Disney World trip. And that's the question of when is the best age to go to Disney World with your kids? This comes up probably once a week just in my own life, like chatting with neighbors and friends from school. And a part of me wants to say, like, every age is great in Disney because me personally, I have 3 kids. They are now 9, 5, and almost 2. And I have truly brought them at every age, especially in the context of having multiple children. This can get to be a hard question to answer because maybe there's, quote, a good age for the one child, but maybe a harder age for the other child. And I will say we have had trips that were for sure harder than others because of my child's age. I actually think my easiest trip I've had was when I was pregnant, believe it or not. I was pregnant with my 3rd, and my girls were 3.5 and 7. So the best age is so dependent on the family, how far apart the kids are in their ages, and also their personalities. There was an age where my oldest was the hardest at that age, but my middle was super easy, and vice versa, like the opposite with my 3rd. So while I really do dislike this question, if you were to ask me, like gun to my head, what is the best age to go to Disney World with your kids? I would say 4 years old is probably like the peak of a fun age to bring to Disney, right before kindergarten, with a huge asterisk, because when they're 4, they're usually not napping anymore, which sounds like a good thing because you don't have to worry about nap times and schedules. But I actually think it's hard when they're not napping because you don't have them resting as much in the middle of the day. So it's hard to have late nights. And Disney World just has a lot of late nights with fireworks and just dinners and parades and parties, all of those things. Whereas a 2 or 3-year-old taking a nap for sure in the middle of the day, whether it's in the stroller or in the room, they can actually usually hang pretty late. There's also the fact that if they are under 3, they cost nothing in Disney. So you don't have to buy them a ticket. They get in lightning lanes with you, which is an upgraded line that you pay for to skip the regular line. So if budget is a main priority for you, that really may be a factor of going before they're 3. Now, my son, who turns 2 next week, I am dying to get him to Disney World because he is growing up so fast. Maybe it's like a 3rd kid thing or a boy thing, but he is talking so much and having conversations. He understands so much that I see him growing up truly like week to week before my eyes. And I'm just like we have to get to Disney World because it's actual magic to him right now. And then on the flip side, my niece is a freshman in college and is probably in love with Disney World more now than ever. So I guess my point is if you're bringing the kids to Disney World and it's your first time, I really think the best time to go is when you want to go and when you want to bring them. And there may be people in your family that are giving you alternate advice and that they're totally entitled to their opinions, but really it's up to you. And you're an adult and you can decide when you get to go. I covered the benefits of booking as soon as possible, But now the next question would be, when is the best time to visit Disney World? And I hate giving advice that says it depends, but it depends. There are 4 factors, variables that I want you to be aware of before you plan a trip and deciding when to go. And that is the crowds. The crowd levels change a lot depending on the time of year. The weather can fluctuate a lot, again, depending on the time of year. The pricing, and then also the holidays, meaning the seasonal parties and activities going on in Disney World, mixed with your own availability and your school schedules. So for example, there are people that will visit in September because it's the least expensive, but it's also the peak for rain and hurricanes, and it's also maybe when your kids are heading back to school and getting into a new routine, like us, which can make it really hard for a lot of families. Then December has lots of Christmas decorations, Christmas parties. The kids will have off from school for an entire week or 2, but it's going to be the most expensive and the most crowded, depending on which week we're talking about. We visited this past summer because there was a great promotion on the room and my kids were off from school, but it was so hot. Like, so hot, you guys. And I feel like our trip would have been a lot more relaxed and easy if I wasn't so concerned about the heat and the kids dehydrating or getting sunburn, all of the things. So knowing how to balance those 4 things and really figuring out what is most important to you and your family is going to be the key. Now, if this is your first trip to Disney, it's most likely a big deal. You're thinking of it as a once-in-a-lifetime trip. You are not going to be visiting that often until you fall in love with it, and then you'll be back. But when you're choosing how many days, ideally, and this is just a fictional trip, I'm going to say a week is ideal, 7 days. And that won't surprise some people, but it's going to surprise some of like, what do you do for an entire week in Disney World? Like, you're crazy. It's a theme park. But I want you to imagine this for a second. If you have a 7-day trip, 2 of those days are just travel days, okay? And if you've traveled with kids before, especially if you're flying, it's an all-day thing. You're getting ready for the airport, you're getting to the airport early, then you have the flight, then you're getting to the resort, you're waiting for your room to be ready, you're getting unpacked, you're pooped. So those 2 travel days are just kind of a wash. Same thing for the day that you leave, just kind of reversed. You're packing, you're tired, and you just want to get home. So that leaves us 5 full days. And there are 4 parks in Disney World. So if you want to visit each park, that's 4 days right there. And that leaves you with 1 bonus day to either hang out at the pool or do like a doubled up park day where you can visit a resort that you've already been to, but you can go back and do it again, which is usually what we do. So day 1, you're traveling. Day 2, you're visiting park 1. Next day, park 2. Then day 4, you can rest or hit the pool or do a bonus day, whatever you want. Day 5 and 6 are the last 2 parks. And then day 7, you're going home. If it's your first trip, it can be tempting to stay off site because you don't want to spend as much money. Maybe you feel like you're kind of getting your feet wet and it'll be nice to have a house or an Airbnb. But when you're thinking about where is the best place to stay in Disney World for the first time, I really want you to consider staying on site, meaning at a resort that is inside on Disney World property. And I already mentioned that there's a lot of them, from the lower budgets at the value resorts all the way up to deluxe. And I will tell you, the majority of people I get into conversation with after their first trip, a lot of them stay off-site at an Airbnb instead of an actual Disney resort. And the first words out of their mouth when they get home are, "We had a great time, but next time we're definitely going to stay on site." And there are some scenarios where this might not work out. Like if you're just going to visit your family and you're doing 1 park day, or maybe you're doing a couple park days, but you're also going to Universal. But if this is your once a year or once in a very long time Disney trip, staying on property is going to be The only way to get all of the perks and just make the trip feel as easy as possible versus staying off site. It's your first time. And now on top of learning everything new and everything being a new experience for you, you are figuring out the traffic and how to get around. You're probably driving your own car and having to park. And it's just going to feel like a lot, and you're going to be tired before you even get to the parks. And I want this to be the easiest part of your trip. And I want to get this out of the way of, I don't know if you want to call it tough love, but you do not have to be an expert going into this trip. Like, I am not saying that you have to spend hours reading and researching and memorizing and doing all the homework, but you do need to know some things. And unfortunately, there's no true shortcut for some of this. It doesn't take a long time, but if you're going to Disney World, I want you to at least have a very basic understanding of the basics. So before you get lost in the details and skip ahead to things that you don't quite need to know about, like lightning lanes and where to eat, dining reservations, all of it, these next key pieces are what actually, in the long run, are going to make your trip feel smooth. Number one is how to get from where you are to where you want to go. It could be from how to get from your bedroom to coffee. It could be how to get from your resort to dinner at Disney Springs. It could be how to get to the character meal that you booked. But just a basic understanding of where things are so that you know how to get around. This is something that really hangs people up and surprises them of A, how long it takes to get from different places, and B, after the fact, after zigzagging all over the place, they realize later, oh, we could have just taken a 5-minute monorail ride or an 8-minute Uber and saved us an hour. So just a basic knowledge of the map, essentially. Which brings me to number 2, and that is to get familiar with the My Disney Experience app. Literally, like today, download it. You have no excuse. There's no reason that you don't know what Magic Kingdom looks like or where Epcot is or any of the parks because you can pull it up in 2 seconds. And I'm going to be mean, but it's 2025. You're listening to a podcast right now. Like, just download the app. Like, I know that you can do it. Beyond that, everything will be in the app. Like, once the ball starts to be rolling and you're planning of booking lightning lanes, your dining reservations, mobile ordering, just finding characters when you're in the park, even getting directions, like I was saying before. I don't know if I told you this, but I have no sense of direction. Literally, I will use that map for anything. If I am at a bathroom in Hollywood Studios and I need to go find my family, I will put it into the map and I will be holding it out in front of me like I am a 90-year-old woman who's lost. So you can literally put in, Space Mountain to Cinderella Castle or Space Mountain to the bus stop. It's great. You can find directions to get anywhere that you need to go. And number 3, I think we're on number 3, is to learn the lingo. And I don't mean the acronyms and the abbreviations and even like Disney World speak. I just want you to know what all the terms mean, what a park hopper is, because you want to know that about your ticket, what the Skyliner is, what mobile ordering is, what Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party is. And if you've just heard me say those words and don't know what they mean, that is a sign that you should learn the lingo. Number 4 is to know the basics of opening protocols and procedures for each park. That's really important for not wasting time in lines for rides or wondering where to go when you get there. Because if you go based off of the park hours that are listed on Disney World's website and you get there right at park opening, especially if you're staying on site, you're going to be missing out on the first 45 minutes to an hour of arguably like the best time of day. So it may be tempting or sound easier to just show up and kind of get in line for any old thing. Or we'll get there and we'll find some food, or maybe we'll do characters. But a lot of certain food spots and even character spots aren't open the first hour of the park. So you're kind of just like wandering around, wasting time, and then the wait times start to build mid-morning. And I've seen a lot of first-timers get stuck in those because they didn't know just how to plan out the morning the best way that they could. Now, we've talked about a lot of things that would happen maybe when you're home during the pre-planning stage of things. Now, I want to talk about some tips for once you're on your trip and it's your first time. And the first thing that pops into my head is to build in a lot of rest time, like more than you think. Once you start planning things out of what you're actually going to do on the trip, I want to see some blank space of there's just nothing going on. And I would rather you have more empty space built in and not need it than the other way around. I get this feedback a lot from my members that they wish they planned a break on the third day. It seems like the general tipping point for most kids and adults, just like human beings, is that they can kind of go hard for 2 days or maybe get a little less sleep for 2 days or wake up early for 2 days or have 2 late nights. And then by the third day, they're shot. That's the limit where you just need some rest and some downtime. I think people just underestimate how much they're walking, how stimulating it is, how much mental brain work they are doing. And I'm talking about the adults, not even the kids yet. So then throw the kids into the mix and they are going to be so tired. So plan to build in more rest than you think. Which leads me to another tip, and that is to just pretend that you're going back. I know this is most likely what you think is a once-in-a-lifetime trip, but I want you to try to trick your brain into thinking that you can have rest, because if you don't do something, or if you miss out on something, or if you sleep in, that it's not a big deal because you can always just do it next time. I'm telling you, if this is like the one tip you could take away, it would be that of just pretend like you're going back. In that same line of thinking, I don't want you to make any promises to anyone about this trip, including to yourself. Don't make promises that you know for sure you can't keep. Don't promise that you're going to meet Rapunzel. Don't promise that you're going to sleep at the castle. You can't. So definitely don't promise that. Don't promise you're going to, I don't know, like fight a stormtrooper, because there are just some things that may not truly exist. Like maybe there are things that you have heard of, like maybe it's like a myth, or things you assume, or things from when you were little that you remember that just aren't around anymore. Or B, things happen. Like rides close down. Things are getting renovated. A show can be canceled. There's weather. People get sick. All the things. So the worst thing you can do on a first trip is to set the expectations of the trip too high. And I know, half the fun is getting the kids and the family pumped up for this trip, especially if you're doing it as a gift, or maybe you've been talking about it for literally years. But I want you to just make other things fun or sound exciting. Like maybe you're getting on the airplane. That's very exciting and will kind of have to happen for you to get there. Or you can tell them about where you're staying and maybe have it be a little bit mystery of, oh, I wonder what our room is going to look like. I can't wait to see what your bed looks like. Things like that are more immediate, satisfying things that you know are going to happen for sure, versus things that are going to happen in the park. And then make things kind of like a question, like a little bit of a adventure or a guessing game of, I wonder when we're going to see Mickey, or I wonder who we're going to see first, like this character or this character. Or I wonder who's going to wake up first tomorrow, like you or your brother. Just little things that are kind of no-brainers that you know will happen versus promising a certain experience. So if you've been waiting for the perfect time to start planning for Disney, I really feel like right now is the perfect time. Because the truth is, Disney World will never stop changing. There's always going to be some new ride or a renovation or a different promotion or something exciting. So the best time to plan is when you can just imagine you and your kids there. And when you picture it, it makes you excited. If those two things are happening for you, then right now is the perfect time. And if you want help mapping it all out, from choosing the best resort to sketching out your park days and understanding what actually matters, that's exactly what I built Laid Back Magic for. It is the number one place to start if you've never been to Disney World as a family. I'll leave the link to join and learn more about Laid Back Magic in this episode's caption, and I cannot wait to see you inside so we can start planning your trip together. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Laid Back Magic Way podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and it was helpful for you, it would mean the world to me if you'd write a quick review. Your reviews help more moms like you find the show, and I read every single one of them. Seriously, thank you in advance. You can find me on Instagram at Somewhere Worthwhile, and I'd love to hear from you there. DM me if you have any questions about this episode or what you'd like to see in future ones. Until then, keep planning for your next favorite memory, and I'll see you next time.